Konnichiwa, hello and welcome. This is Roy at NinjaZilla90, and today I will be reviewing the NECA Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure. And this is a really awesome figure, and I got some things to say about it. So, with that said, let's get on with this review.
And now, starting things off with the box, because we got to talk about really cool boxes on this channel when we have them. As you can see, front and center, we have a close-up picture of the 2019 Legendary Godzilla right there, looking really, really awesome, really cool. Although these boxes I keep because you have hang tags where you could hang them on your wall right there. So that's why I keep these boxes as wall decorative pieces. And of course, we have the Monsterverse logo at the top left of the box. And we have the title of the figure right here, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla. Well, it's Godzilla 2019, but it's just entitled Godzilla. The top of the box, we have a warning label, choking hazard. So letting you know, don't try to eat it because it's not edible. So don't look at this figure and get hungry and mistake it for a candy bar or a Slim Jim, because obviously it's not food and it's not gonna go over so well in your stomach. I've been over that multiple times before with other figure reviews, so I hope and pray we all should know better by now, which I believe and I have high confidence that we do. But anyway, we have ages 14 and up, so indicating this is figures for older collectors. These are not kids' toys. Of course, we got the Godzilla 65th anniversary logo right there, from 1954 to 2019. Oh my god, I better throw this out. This figure is expired because it's over 5 years old now. Not because figures don't go bad, they don't expire. But anyway, we have the NECA logo at the top right of the top of the box. We have the Godzilla King of the Monsters logo yet again. We have the title of the figure, Godzilla. Well, it's Godzilla 2019, but anyway, and of course we have the Monsterverse logo yet again. And opening up the door, the inside of the box, we have a really cool picture of the figure on the inside cover of the box. And of course, the inside of the box is empty because I've already taken the figure out, so that's that. And of course, the side of the box, we have Godzilla King of the Monsters. Measures 12 inches from head to tail. Hinged jaw, over 25 points of articulation. Godzilla, of course. Back of the box, we have a cool picture of the figure again. We have the Godzilla name logo. We have the title, the movie title logo. Godzilla King of the Monsters, yet again, showing you different figures you could collect in a line. We have the 2019 Rodan, which I do not have the NECA 2019 Rodan, but I do have the SH Monster. It's 2019 Rodan, and I think I'm also going to seek out the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic 2019 Rodan as well. We have the Mothra poster or emerald color version right there, which I do have, and I also have the normal NECA Legendary 2019 Mothra as well. And of course, this is the Godzilla 2019 V2 version, which I also have. I also have the Target exclusive 2019 Burning Godzillas. But anyway, the other side of the box, we have the Godzilla 65th anniversary logo yet again, the movie title logo yet again, and the plot for the movie, if you want to pause that and read it. So I'm going to leave it there for a few seconds so you can pause it and read it if you choose to. Okay, now moving right along, we have another close-up picture of the 2019 Godzilla and the Godzilla name logo yet again. The bottom of the box, we have the NECA logo, real toys, a serial number, and an uninteresting barcode. And yeah, there's nothing too much too interesting on the box, so that pretty much concludes it for the box. So now on to the figure. And now here we have the NECA Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure right here before us in all of his super awesome atomic glory. As you can see, this is a well sculpted, well detailed figure, sculpted by I don't know who, because we don't know who sculpts NECA figures. Well, Godzilla NECA figures, all I know is who sculpts the SH Monster Arts Godzilla figures, and that's Yuji Sakai, of course. But yeah, he's obviously not the sculptor for NECA figures, but whoever they were, I would surely give them credit because these are really cool, sculpted really well. Although not exactly perfect, but they are good for what they are. I will be going over this figure in detail and articulation, starting with the upper body portion of the figure, working my way down to the lower body portion of the figure, and getting a fuller, more in-depth view with the figure. So let's get started. And now, starting things off with the upper body portion of the figure. As you can see, this figure, like I said, well detailed, well sculpted. The dorsal spines are like more of a harder, like resin material. They're not soft and rubbery like the other NECA Godzilla figures I reviewed, but they're still really cool. Although I wouldn't really, manhandle or roughhouse with the dorsal spines too much, because they might cut you or make you bleed if you're not careful. But they're not nearly as sharp as the SH Monster Arts dorsal spines, or to be specific, the dorsal spines on the SH Monster Arts Godzilla X Kong Godzilla 2024 Evolved figure. So yeah, like I said, those dorsal spines are really sharp on that figure and will make chop suey out of your fingers real quick if you're not careful. But obviously that's not the case with this one. But anyway, going over articulation or detail. First, we can see the eyes are well painted, although not the best looking. They are pretty cool. We can see his kind of almost like bone colored pearly white teeth in there. Open that mouth so we can see all those razor sharp pearly whites he has in there. Looking nice. We have his very pink tongue. We can see the inside of the roof of his mouth. All those finer details, although no membrane, so his membrane in his mouth is not present on the NECA versions of these figures, unfortunately. But anyway, we do have the finer details. We have these little bony protrusions in the side of the neck. Same is true with the other side. We can see the little small legendary Godzilla gills in the neck as well. Something that you hardly see on the SH Monster Arts version of these figures. Although, as I pointed out, they are there. You just have to look really, really hard, because that's just how small they are in the SH Monster Arts figures. While the SH Monster Arts legendary Godzilla figures, like almost nobody actually realizes that they're there, but they are. But anyway, articulation, like I just demonstrated, the jaw can open and close on a hinge. We can rotate the head independently from the neck, so we can cranium revolvus that head all the way around. We can move the neck independently from the body, but I'm not going to do that because, yeah, then I'm going to risk breaking it. I'm not doing that. But anyway, we do have really good ball joints in the shoulders, so we can bring them out about that much. We can bring them back in about that much. We can rotate them all the way around a full 360, and of course the opposite way as well. So that is good. We also have a elbow swivel, not a bicep swivel, so we can swivel those elbows all the way around a full 360, and we can bend them forward and back on a single joint hinge. Same is true with the other hand. And of course, we have the wrist, which is on a swivel hinge, so we can swivel those wrists all the way around like so, and we can rock them forward and back on a hinge like so for that claw swiping action as you are witnessing. So we can do that. And of course, we do have an ab crunch because we do have a ball joint in the waist, so we can look down about slightly that much, although it's like really tight and it's hard to do. Or better yet, we can rotate all the way around a full 360. This is tight, but I got it. It's doable. Whew. But anyway, it's kind of pointless to do because it just makes everything all out of line. But I'm just demonstrating that it's there. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for articulation for the upper body portion of the figure. Now it is time to work our way down to the lower body portion of the figure and get into articulation in detail with the hips and the legs and the knees and all that good stuff. So let's get to it. And now, starting things off with the lower body portion of the figure, as you can see, the legs are well sculpted. The toe claws are well painted, as well as the hand claws. So let me bring them down so we can see them. Nice job on the mani pedi there. We can rotate the hips all the way around a full 360 on a ball joint and the opposite way. Same is true with the other leg, so all the way around and the opposite way. We can't really spread them out or anything because of the way it's sculpted and the way they're designed. Because these were only $20 figures from back in the day, so don't expect all the bells and whistles that you would get with the SH Monster Arts figures with these. And this is before Hiya Toys existed, so yeah, we didn't have any other options. If we wanted fully articulated Godzilla figures, it was either SH Monster Arts, which would be, the best choice in the high end, and we would have the cheaper NECA version. So this is what you had if you didn't have a whole lot of money coming in and you wanted good Godzilla figures that have articulation. So yeah, if you didn't have money for an SH, this would be like your only other choice. But now that we have Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics, we have more options. Unfortunately, we lost NECA with the Godzilla line, but NECA still makes other figures though. But anyway, we do have articulation in the knees, so we can bend them forward about this much and back about that much, and we can also swivel them a full 360 like so. Although it's kind of pointless, but I'm just demonstrating that it is possible. So bend forward and back and a full 360 swivel, although a bit stiff but still doable. And also we have a ball joint in the feet as well, so we can rock the feet from side to side like so, point them forward and back slightly, and swivel them all the way around a full 360 like so. Same is true with the other foot. So yep, put that back down. And now getting into one of the best parts, tail articulation with this figure. Now, tail articulation with some of the later NECA Godzilla figures is a vast improvement over when they first started the line. So these have pretty much fully segmented tails, although not as much articulation you would get in SH Monster Arts or Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics, but you still get good articulation for what it is, and I am not complaining. Although it is a bit stiff, but it is doable for what it is. So you can bend it about that much this way. You can go about that much the opposite way. You can go in a really nice S curve like that. and you could do an S curve the opposite way as well. So really nice tail, very fluid articulation here that you do not get with some of the earlier figures, especially not with the 2014, which they did do a 24-inch 2014 figure that roars, which I do have, which I need to get new batteries for, that has a fully segmented tail. So that kind of leaves me a bit disappointed when it came to their reissue for the 2014. They just used the same old bending wire tail instead of just using a smaller size down version of their fully segmented tail that they had on the 24-inch 2014, which to me just makes no sense. But yeah, we do have the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics Godzilla 2014, so yeah, that one might just be the better option. But anyway, that pretty much concludes it for articulation and detail with the lower body portion of the figure. So now let's get a more fuller in-depth view of the figure and then get on to our final verdict, shall we? And now getting a fuller, more in-depth view of the figure before I get into the final verdict, so we can get more in depth with some of the detail and get a good full 360 view of a figure. As you can see, like I was demonstrating, the tail can move very, very fluidly. Really like that. I appreciate it. You can put this in somewhat of a swimming pose, but the legs, the hips will be very spread out. But you can kind of sort of get them in that and do that, yeah, the swimming thing. Although you can't really put this in a Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster pose because the tail doesn't go down that far. Because if you try to force it, it's just gonna pop apart, or you know, you might accidentally snap the segments, and yeah, I don't recommend doing that. But like I was saying about the dorsal spines, they are a bit harder of a material here, but they won't, like, they can cut you, but only like if you would like smack yourself with it or something, which I really wouldn't do. But yeah, this is a really nice figure. Highly recommend. Well, a much appreciated figure if you still have this one in your collection, because I don't recommend paying aftermarket prices for this one. If you're going to pay aftermarket prices, your best choice for a good detailed, good articulated Godzilla 2019 figure, I would just go straight for the 2019, normal vanilla version. By that point, that you could just easily get from like Big Bad Toy Store or like the Godzilla website or Entertainment Earth or wherever they sell them. Because with Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics being a thing now, and being priced at a lower, more affordable price point than SH Monster Arts, and even lower than aftermarket prices for NECA figures like this, by that matter, your best choice would be to go straight for the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic version of this figure, and just skip the NECA, because you're just getting a better deal out of the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic version anyways, for a much lower price than aftermarket value. Although these were like $20 figures back in the day when it came to MSRP with original retail value. That is unfortunately not the case when it comes to aftermarket. So and then like I said, if you're gonna buy on the aftermarket, you put yourself at risk of paying a markup for bootleg counterfeits, and you really don't want to do that. So that's why I would advise, just go for the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basics, and buy from official sources. That way you don't get duped. I've explained that in my previous video my previous figure review for the NECA Godzilla vs. Destroyer Burning Godzilla 1995 figure. So go check that one out, because yeah, I do explain, how to spot fakes if you don't want to get a bootleg, because yeah, I got duped with bootlegs many times when I first started collecting NECA figures. That's because I didn't know, but then I learned better and I started buying them from official sources, and yeah, I was easily able to spot the fakes afterwards. And yeah, just take me for my word for it. And yeah, I actually do have a bootleg NECA Godzilla 1954 that I can compare to the actual legitimate one, and I might do that one in another video so you guys can see the differences. But anyway, I will give this figure a one more full 360 turn so you guys can see all the finer details before I get into my final verdict. So now let's get into my final verdict, where I will be giving this figure a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability. So let's get to it. And now for my final verdict on the NECA Godzilla King of the Monsters Godzilla 2019 figure here. If I had to give this one a final score based on detail, articulation, and playability, and understanding that this was a $20 budget figure from back in the day, so I definitely got to cut it some leeway for whatever bells and whistles that it doesn't have, because of the $20 price point. So with that said, I have to give it a drum roll, please, and give this figure a fair but square score of a knocked out of the park, 100%ed 5 out of 5 stars. Why? Like I said, I definitely got to cut this figure a lot of leeway because it was a $20 budget figure from back in the day, which is unfortunately no longer the case, because if you want to get NECA Godzilla figures in particular, you're gonna have to pay an aftermarket markup, which I do not recommend, because of the markups you're going to be paying for these figures. You either just as well get an SH Monster Arts, or better yet, get a Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic for cheaper. Because yeah, just paying $60, $70 to over $100 for a NECA figure, well, NECA Godzilla figure by that matter, to me it's just not worth it for a $20 figure. That is a little bit different on the Power Rangers, well, the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection side of things, because I have been reviewing a lot of those as of late as well. But anyway, I do have to say that this figure does have vast improvements over NECA's earlier figures, especially with the fully segmented tail. So that is a definite plus over their earlier Godzilla figures. Also, the dorsal spines are really good. Lot more solid material that I appreciate. We do have, but other than that, it's pretty much the same level of articulation you would get with the NECA Godzilla 2014 figure, except you're getting improved articulation with the tail because of the fully segmented tail, and that's something I really wish they would have took into consideration when reissuing their figures, is getting rid of the bendy wire and giving them fully segmented tails. But unfortunately that was not the case. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this review. Thank you guys so much, if you, especially if you made it to this part in the video. Your attention span is much appreciated, as well as your engagement. So if you haven't already, like and subscribe, because that really helps out the channel. And as always, stay safe, take care, God bless, stay powered up, stay positive, and peace out.